All right. I want to transition to the NBA. A lot has been going on in the NBA. We are in the point of the season where we have the in-season tournament. Don't really need to discuss too much about that point, but I do want to discuss some of the things that are going on. Number one, the Milwaukee Bucks. They started winning. They've been on a roll lately. They're finally back in the playoff picture. They are the 6th seed, albeit the East is pretty bad right now. Like they're 99 and they're the 6th seed. That just lets you know how the East is right now. But you can't take it away from them. They're finally back in the picture, and it seems like the offense is starting to get it going a lot more with Giannis, with Dame, with a couple of other pieces. Do you have any thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks right now?
Honestly, not much, because at the end of the day, they still have Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham on that coaching staff, and I have not been able to catch any of their games. So I'm not going to speak on what they're doing that's actually working for them now. I can only speak on what they got on the coaching staff, and I'm not a fan of it. Giannis is still phenomenal, though. Obviously.
Fair point. Fair point. I'm not gonna lie. I'm the same way with you. I haven't been watching too much Milwaukee Bucks. I've just been hearing that they've been playing a lot better offensively, and they've been on a roll, albeit against subpar opponents. But you can only play what's on your schedule. And during the season, beginning of the season, they were losing to a lot of bad teams as well. So, hey, you got to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the good signs, and the fact that they're finally beating the teams they're supposed to beat. That's all you can ask for. Other teams, other things around the league. The Orlando Magic are still winning despite the fact that Paolo is hurt. They're the 3rd seed. They're 14-7, and that well coached team. Like I'm very shocked. They're the most, in my opinion, they're probably the most surprising team as of right now. The fact that they're winning without their number one player, without their all-star player. Franz Wagner is playing really, really good basketball right now. Orlando, they're making strides, and they have a bright future. That's all I can say on that matter.
Yeah, man. People thought they was cooked food once Paolo went down, but like I said, coaching matters, and they still got a bunch of young dudes on that team. So hey, wait for them to step up and play, keep them in the top of the conference.
Yeah, literally. Let's go to the Western Conference. Other stories as well. I think one of the things that is going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So they traded Cat away. They brought in Julius Randle, and initially it was working, but then something happened. There was a game, I forget the opponent, but Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert were not on the same page. Rudy Gobert, he was asking for the ball down in the post. Julius Randle waved him off, and he went one-on-one. And ever since that moment, the vibes have changed for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've been losing a lot of games. They're 9-10 right now. They're out of the playoff picture. They're out of the play-in picture. And Anthony Edwards came out and he said that the Timberwolves, our team, is soft. And they are soft. They're not playing good basketball. They're not playing good defense. The offense has been stagnant a lot of times. And, they're just going to have to figure it out. I don't know how with Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, but this is what they wanted. This is when you trade Cat away, what do you expect? What do you expect? They wanted to save money, and now they're going to have to die on that trade. They're going to die on the hill, and they have nothing else to go but trying to figure out with the personnel that they have.
Yeah, I haven't been catching many Timberwolves games either, but from what I've seen based on social media and clips and stuff, there's something going on. I think there's definitely some chemistry issues either in the locker room, even on the on court chemistry. It's just something just doesn't seem right,
I don't think
and
they
I'm
like each
not
other.
sure. That is definitely a possibility, but yeah, man, this is definitely a disappointing predicament that they're in, especially I feel bad for their fans because you go from being in the conference final, thinking, okay, we're right there, we're knocking on the door, and then now it's like, the heck just happened? Like we are genuinely not a good team right now. So we'll see if they can get it together. It's still early in the season, hasn't even been 20 games yet. So we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
What really is going to happen is this December stretch. and how they finish, how they play into the All-Star break. That'll let you know a little something about where they stand in the league.
Right. And I think one of the glaring things that Anthony Edwards said, besides the fact that they're a soft basketball team, is that they're not, I think after the games, they're not really talking to one another. They're sort of separating one another. There's no conversations. It just seems like the team is not gelling with one another. There's no camaraderie. There's no brotherhood. It's just a bunch of dudes that are just out there to play basketball and get paid. So who knows? Who knows? It's a long season. Things could always change, but it's not looking good for the Timberwolves right now. But they're still. It's not like they're 4-16 like the New Orleans Pelicans. So they should be fine. I mean, if they just figure something out, they could always go on a 5-game win streak and boom, they're right back in the thick of things. The Phoenix Suns, they're 10-8. Kevin Durant just came back. They're the 9th seed. I mean, it's still early in the season. We gotta see more before we all of a sudden write them off. I still think they'll be fine. The Dallas Mavericks, they're 11-8. They're starting to win a lot more. Earlier in the season, they were struggling. They were like 5-6, but now they're winning more games. They're the 7th seed right now. The Lakers, they're still surviving. Emphasis on surviving, right? I will say the young players are playing a lot better. Max Christie, Dalton Connect has been phenomenal ever since he has been inserted into the starting lineup for us. He's been just shooting lights out for us, which is great. But at the end of the day, that defense, the bigs, got to make a trade. And this is going to be the reality of the Lakers until they make a trade for guys that can play defense and that can score off the bench for them. Because until you get the requisite pieces to compete, all you're going to be doing is surviving, not living, surviving. And this is what the Lakers have been doing so far for 19 games, is surviving. And luckily, this stretch coming up for them, they have a bunch of mediocre teams up until Christmas and New Year's. So they can start getting a groove on, getting some type of chemistry going throughout this stretch. And also, all these folks saying that LeBron is washed now, Father Time has caught up to him. I'll say this. The past 5 games, he hasn't been great. He's had 2 really good games. The other 3, he's been either mediocre or bad. This past game against OKC, he was pretty bad. Partly because, one, OKC is a great defensive team. I mean, Lou Dort is a hell of a defensive player. I would say LeBron has struggled a lot against Lou Dort in the past, ever since Lou Dort has been in the NBA. So for him to struggle against this team is not surprising. What I will say was surprising is the fact that the Lakers almost won that game last night, even though, again, our team is very limited. Now, OKC was missing, what's his name? Alex Caruso and what's his name? Chet Holmgren. So they were missing 2 key guys for the team, but I still think OKC is the better team, the better roster. They just have the better pieces as of right now. And the Lakers, it's a long season. We need a trade, but I like what I saw from Max Christie and Dalton Connect. Those are 2 dudes that we're going to need to play well moving forward if we want to have a chance in the Western Conference. Memphis, surprisingly, they're 13-7. I didn't think this was going to be the case. They're 13-7. Ja just came back not too long ago, and they're riding high. Golden State is still in good position. They're 12-6 right now, 3rd seed. The Houston Rockets are the 2nd seed in the Western Conference at 14-6. I think they're the most surprising team out of any team in the NBA right now. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see the Houston Rockets being 14-6 and the number 2 seed in the Western Conference right now. I don't know what's working for them. I don't know what it is. Obviously, the coach, Ime Udoka, being the coach of the Houston Rockets, has worked wonders for them. But even still, like, I've heard Jalen Green, he's been a roller coaster. He's been hot and cold. So I don't know what's going on with the Houston Rockets. I don't know what's working, but I'm gonna do my research and I'm gonna find out
They
what
have depth.
exactly is working for them. They do
They
have
have
depth,
depth.
but
Yeah. So
what
even if Jalen
exactly?
Green has uh, a off night, they still have Amin Tops, and they still have what's his name? That power
Sengun,
Alperen Sengun. Yeah. They still got Cam Whitmore. They still have
Fred Van
they got
Fleet.
that team is deep. That team is pretty deep, man. They got the vets now. They didn't have vet leadership before, but they have Dylan Brooks. They have Fred Van Vliet. So I mean, it's what this is what it's all about. You gotta have that. You gotta have vet leadership. They're going to be a pretty solid regular season team. Now playoffs could be a different story, but because playoff rotation is going to have to get minimized. But as of right now, they're playing good ball. And Emi Udoka, he's a good coach. So
He is.
I'm not
You're right.
honestly. I'm surprised at the second seed, but I'm not surprised that they're a pretty solid team. 14-6 is crazy. I didn't think the Rockets were going to be this good. Right below the Thunder, but hey, the younger teams, they really showing out.
They are. But
But
you
look.
know,
What did I say? What did I say? I know it's a little early, but what did I say about them Grizzlies earlier
what did you say
before
about
the
them
season
Grizzlies?
started? I
What
said,
did you
I
say about
said,
them
don't count
Grizzlies?
them out. I said they a different team when y'all on that court, and they're 13-7 right now. They got the 3-game lead on the Nuggets, who's the 5th seed currently. So
Hmm.
I just told people to keep an eye out on Memphis because I tell you when Ja gets on that court, they just a whole different team.
Yeah, unlike Zion Williamson, where he gets on that court, it don't even matter. They still losing. You know what I'm saying? That
Hey
that
man, the
Zion
Pelicans
Williamson video was
they got some
egregious.
with the tattoo.
I
I
don't
just
know
don't
if
think
I
he
don't.
cares. I
No,
don't
he
think he
don't
cares,
care.
man. That's a
He
shame too
doesn't care.
because you had all this hype coming out and you played such a great year at we went to Duke, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
went to
played it.
do. He was
Yeah, he played at
dominant.
Duke. He had a great year, and then you just get to the league and you just don't care. And it's like, what? Like that's the problem, man. These new dudes they coming into the league, they're not hungry for real, man. Like
Where's the
that's why the
passion?
sport is like the product is getting where like where's the hunger? It's like very few dudes coming to the league now. They got that dog or hunger. Like it's just I don't know. I think AAU circuit really cooked the
I,
development of these players.
let me tell you something. So I think the problem with the NBA, and you know what? F it. Let's transition to this. Problem with the NBA. What is the problem? It's a lot of things that's a problem with the NBA, and that's the problem right there. They have so many things that they have to address. They have so many issues. You have the load management thing. You have the injuries issue. You have the play style issue. You have guys that are underperforming. Like it's so much that they have to address. You can't just point to one single issue as the reason why the viewership is decreasing. While with the NFL, they're surging. Like they're continuously going up. But let's say if they had a problem, they would only have one problem that you could really point to. You could say, well, maybe it's the officiating. Or maybe you could say, well, the flags. Like there's not enough physicality. But that's about it when it comes to football. With the NBA, it's so many problems that exist that makes it a turnoff for the viewer. Makes it a turnoff for fans, casual fans. And that's why you have
Now
the low viewership.
I'll name some of the I'll name some of them. You got the freaking the fact that you have to have so many different things, subscriptions and stuff, just to even watch the games. And League Pass has that blackout foolishness. Why am I paying all this money to allegedly be able to watch all the games in this blackout? I can't even watch a game that's like happened 3 hours from me. Like what are we talking about here? And we also got the officiating, the refs be tripping sometimes, the play styles, we got the media coverage of the sport. We also have the marketing of the sport. We also have the players associations making bad decisions as far as how teams are able to craft the rosters and stuff, and the low management, players just not caring as much anymore. Too many regular season games, so no one really cares about them anymore. It's just so it's a plethora of things, man. Like I don't know. This was the NBA used to be my favorite league until I was converted into the NFL fandom because this is not the same basketball I watch growing up. I don't care how people say, "Oh, the players are so much talented." This is the worst era of hoops I've ever had to watch, hands down. I don't care how much talented these players are. The game is just not fun to watch.
Here's my thing. So I believe the last great NBA season was 2015, 2016. And oh yeah, and then another thing you didn't mention, storyline. The stories.
Oh
The
yeah.
stories, in my
Well, that
opinion,
kind of
are the
sounded like with
most
media and stuff.
right. You can put that under the media umbrella. But like the stories. And I think that's the most important part of the NBA. And I think that's the number one problem. If you could say, like, what's the number one problem? I think it's the lack of storytelling. I believe what made 2015, 2016 so great was the storytelling of that season. You had so many different stories that you can go to. You look at the NFL, look at the array of just storylines that you can talk about when it comes to NFL and NFL teams, NFL matchups, NFL rivalries. There's just so much you can go to. Like the storyline about Lamar Jackson. Is he finally going to get over the hump? Is he finally going to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoff game? You have Josh Allen. Is he finally going to get over the hump? You have all these different storylines. You could talk about the Green Bay Packers. Like, are they going to be in the Super Bowl? The Detroit Lions, they haven't been in the Super Bowl, I think, ever. The first time they could possibly ever be in the Super Bowl. Could they win the Super Bowl for the first time in their franchise history? You have the 49ers. They're imploding. You just have so many different things in the NFL that you could talk about. While with the NBA, what are the stories? Point to interesting stories from the NBA, and I can't tell you. I can't tell you one interesting story. What? Victor Wembanyama? Like, no, there's nothing. Like, there's no. Oh, the Celtics going for a repeat. Nobody cares about that. The Cavaliers, wow, they're the shocker of the league. Nobody cares about that. There is not one interesting storyline from the NBA, and that is the problem. You go to 2015, 2016, what do we have? Oh my God, look at all these teams in the Western Conference. Look at the Warriors and the Cavaliers, the clash of the Titans. We finally getting that healthy matchup between the two that we were robbed of in the NBA Finals. The Warriors going for the 73 win record. The Warriors coming to the season, they were undefeated. I think they may have been 15-0 or so. Like they had a crazy record going into the season. You have Stephen Curry putting on an amazing show. Unanimous MVP season. LeBron James still playing like LeBron James. Kevin Durant, the previous season he was hurt and the Warriors were able to win the championship, but now he's healthy. Now the Thunder can compete for a championship, and we have those clash of those teams. You have the Spurs, who are another great team. You got Kawhi Leonard coming to his own. You have LaMarcus Aldridge. You have Tim Duncan. You have all these different teams you could speak to as storylines for a season that people are interested in. You have Kobe Bryant's last season, his last game. That's another thing. So many different storylines that you could point to from that season. While in 2024, there's none. There's nothing you can point to. There's nothing that will have the viewer caring about the NBA. The only reason why people are watching the game is because they love the game of basketball. They just want to see good basketball. They want to see their team play. There is no singular storyline that people care about in this day and age, and that is the number one problem with the NBA.
That's a pretty solid argument. I haven't really seen a lot of people haven't really brought up the fact that there aren't really any storylines to follow in the league. It's just like basketball. It's like 2K. It's just like you just watch next game, play next game. No one cares about the storylines or nothing. You just here to watch basketball. But yeah, like you said, there's nothing to really promote as far as storyline. Like there's no rivalries. There's no any of that, honestly. So it's just kind of like we're just waiting. We're just cruising along until the playoffs come. That's what it feels like. That's honestly what the NBA feels like nowadays. And once play-in season and playoffs start, that's when people start caring about the product on the TV, and that's when the media starts putting effort into generating hype. But other than that, you don't really hear much about regular season ball. It's just kind of like they're going through the motions. you get the little All-Star break, which has been severely. There are other factors that I brought up. Players just not caring, the product genuinely just being worse, and it's just a sad state of affairs, man. For the league. This is such a great league at once, and once Adam Silver took over, it has still has some good years after, but other than that, it's been
in the
downhill ever
tank.
since.
It's just a simulation at this point. We're
Yeah,
just
you know how there's the whole thing with history repeats itself and all of that stuff. Like how in the NFL teams are starting to going back to running the football after being pass happy. These past, I don't see the NBA going back to like early 2000s, mid 2000s, because the analytic dudes are going to say no matter what, the best, most efficient shot is a three pointer, point blank, period. And we're going to take as many threes as possible at the highest percentage in order to be the most competitive team. So I don't think people are like, oh no, this is just the 3 point things. I don't think so. I just think that's how the sport is going to be played from now on until there's some rule changes to mitigate that. But until we see that, unless they expand how far the 3 point line is, which I don't think is going to happen because the NBA is scared of change for whatever reason. They honestly should push the 3 point line back a few feet so 2 pointers can be more emphasized and not everybody's just sitting at the perimeter every play. But they got to do something because I don't think we're going to see. That's the thing I like about football. You can at least say, well, eventually, once teams start adapting to pass happy offenses, then the run game will start opening up. But I don't think even if teams were to adapt defensively to 3 point shots, which is super hard to do, by the way, I still don't see teams trying to emphasize 2 pointers or mid range or paint. I just don't see it because at the end of the day, a three is going to be worth more than a two. 10 rushing yards and 10 passing yards are essentially the same thing. But a 3 point or 2 point, they're not the same thing. So I don't think the play style is going to change anytime soon unless there are rule changes implemented to negate all the 3 point shot chucking we've seen.
I like what you said there. The fact that in terms of the NFL and the NBA, you have 3 point shots and you have 2 point shots. The NFL, a yard is a yard. There's no
Yep.
a difference between how you get a receiving yard and a rushing yard. There's like a yard is a yard and a touchdown is a touchdown and a field goal is a field goal. There's no changing enemy.
Hmm.
That's just how it is. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's just you score no matter what. A 7 is a 7, a 3 is a 3. But with the NBA, you have the 3 point shot, you have the 2 point shot, and those are significantly different. So the NFL, yeah, you can always change the way that you do things because at the end of the day, the points are the same. The NBA, a 3 point shot is a 3 point shot. 2 point shot is significantly different. And I agree with you. I just don't see anything changing unless they change the rules. And I don't see that happening. I think Adam Silver is too scared. I think they have this committee, I think it is. It's like this I forgot what it's called. It's a competitive committee or something like that, where they look at these type of things. And I
Yeah.
just don't think they're going to take that risk. I believe, the players, they're going to complain. They're going to do all this stuff. But ultimately, they're just stuck. They're stuck in the mud right now. And I'm not mad at like some of the things that they've done over the years, but it comes to a point where you have to look at the landscape of the league and look at the ratings that are going by and how it's pretty much not growing, and you have to try something. They're trying this in-season tournament, and I mean it's okay, but they're trying to implement something for the All-Star game, but I just don't think that's going to really address the glaring weakness of this league, and it's the 3 point shot. So
I'm gonna propose something off camera. I just did some quick math in my. I'm gonna propose something off camera. I
all
don't
right,
think the
all
public
right.
is ready for this opinion yet.
Oh yeah, and by the way, before we go, I was watching Gil's Arena, and Gilbert Arenas made a great point. He be saying some wild stuff, but this was a great point. He was looking at the box score of one of the games, and he was appalled at the fact that all of these players that aren't great 3 point shooters are shooting the ball 9, 10, 11 times in one game. And I had to think about that. I was like, you know what? That is the problem with the NBA. Is all of these players that are not Stephen Curry, that are not a dead-eye, great three-point shooter, are attempting over 8 threes a game. It baffles me, and I think
Back in the day,
that is the
if
problem.
your name wasn't Steph Curry, Ray Allen, Klay Thompson, Kyle Korver,
AJ Redick.
JJ Redick, if you weren't known for shooting three and you took more than 8 threes a game, you will be on the bench. Now it's just like, oh yeah.
Derek White can shoot 8 threes a game. Peyton Pritchard can shoot 9 threes a game. You know, everybody has the green light now. Like, hey, just chuck the three. Just chuck them threes up. The analytics say so. It'll be all right. And Gil made a great point. He was looking at just the comparison between the amount of points that a team is scoring per game compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it's not much difference. Like, you're not getting a significant upgrade by shooting more threes than in comparison to years in the past. So I thought that was just a great thing that he brought up, because this whole idea, this whole style of play that these teams are implementing because the Warriors and because the Rockets did it is just blasphemous at this point. And I think it needs to stop. But yeah, I'm going to end it on that note. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials as well. And we will see you all in the next episode of Courtside View Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and peace. Just let me be me.